Her eyes caught the ink first, a faded tattoo on the biker's arm, half hidden under his leather sleeve. She froze. The same symbol, the same shape, just like the one her mother used to hide beneath her bracelet. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "My mom has the same one." The biker looked up slowly, his face tightening with something between shock and pain. In that quiet moment, the world seemed to stop, because what he said next would change everything she thought she knew about kindness, race, and the stories we carry. Have you ever met someone who made you question everything you believed? Tell us in the comments. Before we begin, hit subscribe. It's appreciated. It was a cool autumn morning in a small town where everyone seemed to know everyone. Emma walked the same path to work each day, her coffee in one hand, her headphones in the other. She worked at a small diner by the highway, a cozy place where truckers, bikers, and tired travelers came for coffee and warmth. Her days were simple. Open the shop, serve smiles, and head home to care for her mother. Her mother, Lila, had been sick for months. Once full of laughter and energy, she now spent most of her time resting, her wrist always covered by a wide bracelet she never took off. Emma had noticed the old tattoo underneath once, a faded mark she didn't understand. Whenever she asked, her mother would only smile softly and say, "It was a long time ago, sweetheart." Some stories are better told when hearts are ready to listen. Emma didn't think much about it. Life was busy, money was tight, and she had learned to find peace in routine. Yet sometimes, while wiping down the diner counter, she'd glance at the customers, strangers from every walk of life, and wonder what stories they carried beneath their scars, their silence, or their tattoos. That morning, as clouds hung low over the road, a group of bikers pulled into the diner parking lot. Their engines roared, their jackets heavy with patches and pride. People often looked at them with unease. Rough faces, loud voices, skin colors that drew glances in a town that still whispered behind closed doors. But Emma didn't mind. She treated everyone the same, a warm smile, a refill of coffee, and kindness that asked for nothing in return. Still, something about one biker caught her eye. He was quiet, older, his hands rough but steady. When he reached for his cup, she noticed it, the tattoo on his arm, almost identical to her mother's, a small, strange symbol that seemed out of place on someone like him. A chill ran through Emma. Something told her this moment mattered. The biker sat alone, quiet, his jacket beside him and sorrow in his eyes. Emma brought him pie. "It's on the house," she said. He nodded. "You don't have to." "Everyone deserves a little sweetness," she replied. When he smiled, it hurt him to do so, and that's when she saw it, the tattoo. The same one her mother always hid beneath her bracelet. As the diner buzzed softly around them, he glanced at the photo wall. His eyes froze on a picture of a young woman, her mother. Then he looked at Emma, and everything inside her went still. Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them, recognition, confusion, maybe even fear. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but no words came. Instead, he reached for his wallet, pulled out a few bills, and left them on the table. Emma watched him walk out the door, the bell above it chiming softly. Her hands trembled as she picked up the empty cup he left behind. The smell of coffee lingered, but so did something else, a feeling she couldn't name, like the air right before a storm. Later that night, as she tucked her mother into bed, Emma couldn't stop thinking about him. She almost mentioned it, the biker, the tattoo, but stopped herself. Her mother looked peaceful, fragile. It didn't feel right to disturb that peace. Still, as she turned off the light, she saw it again, the bracelet slipping slightly, revealing the same faded mark. Emma stood in the doorway, heart pounding, realizing this wasn't a coincidence. It was a connection, and soon she would have to find out what it meant. Have you ever carried pain in silence, hoping one day someone would truly see you? Tell us in the comments. The next morning, the fog hung low over the highway, wrapping the world in a quiet stillness. Emma couldn't stop thinking about that man, his eyes, that tattoo, and the way he froze when he saw the photo of her mother. It felt like a message she couldn't yet read, but her heart knew it mattered. She spent the day distracted, glancing at the door every time it opened. The regulars noticed. "You all right, hun?" asked Mary the cook, her voice rough but kind. Emma smiled and nodded, pretending to be fine. But deep down, she was waiting. Not for a customer, but for answers. By late afternoon, the diner was nearly empty. The sky outside turned orange, melting into gold. That's when she heard it. The low rumble of a motorcycle pulling into the parking lot. Her chest tightened. He was back. The door opened, and there he stood. Same jacket, same quiet eyes, the same heavy air around him. This time, he didn't sit. He walked straight to the counter, holding something small in his hand, a folded piece of old paper. "I think this belongs to someone you know," he said quietly, setting it down in front of her. Emma hesitated, then unfolded it. It was a faded black and white photo. Her mother, younger, smiling, standing beside him. They both looked so happy, so alive. But what caught her breath wasn't their faces. It was the matching tattoos, the same small symbol inked on their arms, side by side. Her voice came out as a whisper. "You knew my mom." He nodded slowly. His eyes softened with the weight of years. "Yeah," he said. "A long time ago. Back when people weren't supposed to be seen together like that." The words sank in slowly, like cold water. Emma's throat tightened. He continued, voice trembling just slightly. "Your mom." She was brave. We both were. But the world wasn't ready for us then. That mark, he glanced at his arm. It wasn't just a tattoo. It was a promise. That someday love wouldn't need to hide. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The diner clock ticked quietly in the background. Emma thought of her mother's soft smiles, the way she'd look out the window as if remembering another life. It all made sense now. The silence, the hidden tattoo, the sadness behind her eyes. The biker took a deep breath. "She saved me once. I was angry at the world, but she saw good in me. That tattoo, it reminds me to keep choosing kindness." Tears filled Emma's eyes. The tattoo wasn't just ink. It was love, defiance, and history. He looked at her one last time. "Tell her I kept my promise." Then he was gone, his engine fading into the sunset. That night, Emma sat by her mother's bed. "Mom," she whispered, "I met someone today." Lila smiled weakly. "The biker," she said. "You knew?" "I hoped he'd come. For you," Lila murmured, showing the faded tattoo on her wrist. "We made this mark together, not by blood, but by choice. Love sees the soul, not the skin." Emma's heart ached. She had spent her whole life knowing so little, never realizing her mother had once lived through a love that broke rules and barriers. Her mother's eyes filled with quiet tears. Back then, people weren't kind. They said things that hurt. We couldn't walk down the street without the world reminding us we didn't belong. But we loved anyway, and when it got too hard, I had to leave. Not because I stopped loving him, but because I wanted you to grow in a world that might be gentler. Emma took her mother's hand, tears slipping down her cheeks. "He kept his promise," she said softly. "He still wears the mark." Lila smiled, tired but peaceful. Then maybe the world did change a little. The two sat in silence, holding on to each other as years of hidden pain began to fade. The night felt softer somehow, like it was wrapping them both in forgiveness. Over the next few days, Emma couldn't stop thinking about what she had learned. About the quiet bravery of her mother's love, the cost of it, and the courage it took to stay kind in a world that wasn't. She began to see people differently, not for who they looked like, but for what they carried inside. Sometimes, when new travelers came into the diner, she'd notice the small things, a scar, a symbol, a weary smile. And every time she offered warmth first, because she knew now, behind every face, there was a story. Her mother passed peacefully a few months later. When Emma cleaned out her things, she found a small note tucked inside an old recipe book. It said simply, "Love has no color, only courage." Emma framed the note and hung it by the counter at the diner. People often stopped to read it, some smiling, some wiping their eyes. And every time she saw that, she'd whisper quietly to herself, maybe that's how change begins. One heart at a time. What part of this story stayed with you the most? Tell us in the comments. Show some love with a like and subscribe to stay inspired.